The most dangerous creature, discovered in the Amazon rainforest? Among the countless mysteries hidden in these jungles, one stands out, whispered in scientific circles, debated in documentaries, and sometimes dismissed as myth. It's the story of a creature so deadly, so unlike anything else on Earth, that it challenges our entire understanding of biology and survival. They call it the shadow jaguar, a creature born of darkness. The story begins not with legend, but with science. In 2012, a small team of researchers from Brazil's National Institute for Amazonian Research set out to study nocturnal predators along the Rio Negro, one of the most remote and untouched parts of the rainforest. They weren't looking for monsters. They were studying jaguars, tracking how deforestation was affecting their hunting patterns. But one night, their motion-triggered cameras captured something different. The footage was grainy, infrared, and brief, only a few seconds long. Yet it was enough to change everything. A massive shape moved through the darkness. It was roughly the size of a jaguar, but lower to the ground, with a broader skull and thick, muscular limbs. Its eyes reflected no light, completely black, like voids. Even stranger, the researchers noticed something chilling. Every animal in the surrounding area, monkeys, birds, even insects, had gone silent during that moment. The team initially thought it was a distorted image or a technical glitch, but when they returned to the site days later, they found something that made their blood run cold. Claw marks. Deep, clean slashes. Carved into the trunk of a kapok tree over 12 feet high. The marks were wider and deeper than any known Amazon predator could make. Locals had another explanation. They called it Onça das Sombras, the shadow jaguar. To them, it was no myth. Hunters spoke of it in hushed tones. An ancient predator that hunted by silence, moving through darkness so perfectly that not even its prey could sense it before death. Some said it could see body heat, others that it gave off a low vibration that paralyzed smaller animals. The scientists, skeptical but intrigued, began to dig deeper. Evidence in the unseen. Months later, expedition member Dr. Rafael Monteiro analyzed hair and skin samples from the area where the marks were found. The results were baffling. The DNA matched 92% with a jaguar, but the remaining sequence was completely unknown. It didn't match any cataloged mammal, reptile, or amphibian on record. That 8% became the obsession of multiple research teams. Could it be a hybrid species? A jaguar crossed with something else? Impossible, some argued. But in the Amazon, where thousands of species remain undiscovered, impossible is just another word for not yet proven. Satellite images later revealed large heat anomalies deep within the forest. Thermal signatures not matching any known animal migration pattern. When drones were sent to investigate, several malfunctioned mid-flight, their cameras freezing before crashing into the canopy. At this point, the mystery shifted from biology to something stranger. Even seasoned scientists began to admit something about this creature didn't follow natural rules. The apex beyond apex. If the shadow jaguar truly exists, it represents a terrifying evolutionary masterpiece. Imagine a predator designed to be completely undetectable, not just through stealth, but through biology. No reflection in the eyes. A body temperature low enough to evade infrared detection. Fur that absorbs rather than reflects light, blending perfectly into the shadows. Such adaptations sound fictional, yet nature has already created precursors. The black panther's melanism allows it near invisibility at night. A creature evolved not just to hunt, but to disappear. Locals claim the shadow jaguar doesn't roar. It hums, a low vibrating sound felt more than heard, like the earth itself rumbling before a storm. Animals sense it and scatter. Humans who claim to have heard it describe it as a sound that makes your spine lock. Some scientists propose that if such a creature exists, it might use infrasonic frequencies, like elephants or whales, to communicate or stun prey. A terrifying possibility in a predator. Disappearances and discoveries. Over the last decade, there have been reports, mostly unverified, of expeditions that vanished without a trace in the Amazon basin. In 2017, a small documentary crew working near the Javari Valley disappeared for 6 days before reappearing, disoriented and claiming to have been stalked by something that moved like smoke. Their footage, when recovered, showed strange flashes, dark movement against a darker background, before abruptly cutting to static. One frame captured what appeared to be a pair of eyes, black and lidless, glinting for half a second. Skeptics point to lighting artifacts or jungle cats misidentified under stress. But the recovered GPS logs revealed something eerie. The crew had circled the same 400-meter area repeatedly for 3 days, despite thinking they were moving forward. Compass readings malfunctioned. Electronic devices lost power faster than expected. Some now believe the area might have strong magnetic interference or something else entirely. Even among the scientific community, theories began to fracture. Some argued the shadow jaguar was merely a rare melanistic jaguar with unusual adaptations. Others believed it could be a remnant of an ancient species, a throwback predator from a forgotten epoch, surviving undetected in the rainforest's deepest reaches. A predator, hidden in plain sight. The Amazon still hides millions of undiscovered species, from tiny insects to massive fish. So why couldn't a single, ultra-rare predator evade detection? The dense canopy, the sheer size of the territory, and the low human presence make it possible. In fact, every year, new species are cataloged that were previously thought to be myth. One theory suggests that the shadow jaguar isn't an entirely new species, but an evolved offshoot of the jaguar that adapted to human intrusion. As deforestation pushed animals deeper into the untouched core of the forest, only those able to hide perfectly could survive. Over generations, such traits, silence, stealth, lower heat signatures, could dominate. Evolution doesn't always need millions of years. In extreme conditions, it can accelerate. If that's true, then the shadow jaguar might be more than a mystery. It might be evolution's latest response to humanity. Science meets folklore. In the isolated villages along the Amazon, stories of the shadow jaguar go back generations. Elders tell of nights when the jungle stopped breathing, when the usual orchestra of insects, frogs, and birds fell eerily silent. Those nights, they say, the shadow jaguar was hunting. It's seen not as evil, but as a guardian, a spirit of the forest, protecting it from invaders. Hunters who disrespect nature, cut sacred trees, or kill without need are said to vanish into the silence. Strangely, some conservationists embrace this legend, calling it poetic justice, nature creating its own enforcer. The scientific world remains divided. Some insist the shadow jaguar is a misidentification, a combination of jaguars, myths, and human imagination amplified by fear. Others, however, quietly admit that there's something deeply unsettling about the data, especially the repeated genetic anomaly. If real, this creature would represent a new apex predator, one that's not only the most dangerous in the Amazon, but possibly one of the most advanced stealth hunters ever evolved. It would also raise urgent questions about our relationship with the wilderness. How much do we truly know about the ecosystems we keep destroying? What if, hidden in those last untouched patches of jungle, evolution is still at work, shaping life in ways we can barely comprehend? If a creature like the shadow jaguar truly exists, do you think humanity should try to find it, or leave it alone forever? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear what you think.